Good morning, everyone. So, I got my hoop. It's the next day I came in, everything's cooled down. What I want to do is figure out how many bars I need for my grill portion to continue. So, I have my tape measure. I have a little piece here to kind of see. I was going 3/4 of an inch on my SolidWorks part, but I'm gonna make them closer together. So I can cook smaller things and things so it doesn't fall through. I'm gonna do every 1/2 of an inch. So my inside diameter is 11.5 or 11.5. So all I gotta do is do 11.5 and divide that by 1/2 of an inch. It gives you 23 inches. Could have done that in my head, but showing you. You can use a calculator, but 23. So that means I need 23 grills going through. So I figured out how I'm going to do this to get a nice cut on these grills, to get them to fit nicely. I'm going to create a jig. So the next part of this lesson is a little outside of metal, but I have a whole wood shop right here, and I'm going to create a jig. And you'll see what a jig is. A jig is kind of a broad term. It can be a lot of different things, but I'll let you look that up. That'll be one of your vocab words. But they're great in shop work and everything else. Jigs are very important. Okay? And I was able to take a piece of plywood and I shot the dust collector. And what I did is I cut out a bunch of grooves that are a 1/2 inch apart, or that has a 1/2 inch spacing in between each one. Okay, and this is my jig. So what I'm going to do is I can take this, place it over the top, my hoop here, and then I can add all my pieces. So I can start one like right here, pull it tight. Well, now I know, okay, that's where that piece needs to go. Now I can line up a bunch of other pieces, fill these grooves up, lay my hoop over the top of them, and then I can mark them all, and I'll be able to cut them out. So I'll do that here in just a second. Okay, now I got all my pieces cut for my grill. There's a nice, not nice, but a really sharp burr on most of the ends of these. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the grinder. I'm just going to put it on there real quick just to get rid of that burr to help me work a lot easier. so now I'm removing these. I'm gonna put my hoop on here and draw a line. So I only really need to cut one end of these to get it to fit. I'm not gonna worry about the angle or arc and make sure I cut that bevel or miter on the ends of my grill pieces, because when I weld it, it's just gonna fill that all in, so it'll be fine. So, what I'm gonna do here is simply use my pencil. Like that. Now I know where all these should go and stop at. And I can put them in like this. And line it up with my arc. Then I can put this on, and then I'll mark all my grill pieces, and then I could take them and cut them all off. I'm gonna grind off those ends again, and then I should be ready for welding it up. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so now I got a line marked on all these. What I'm gonna do is put it in the saw, cut it, and I'll get it close to the line. I'm not gonna cut the line, and then I'll finish it off on the grinders and cut them to fit so that they fit nice and snug. So I'll be here for a while in this spot, so I'll speed it up. Here, it's pretty close. I'm gonna have to grind off just a little bit of these ends here to get this thing to fit. And I don't mind if it's a nice tight fit. I just want it to be pretty close so that I can go and weld it up. So I'm gonna have you I'll speed it up here and I'm gonna grind them all some more. so the grinder's working all right, but this belt sander for metal is kind of cutting a little bit better on this mild steel. So I'm gonna use this to finish up the rest because it's kind of taking a while. So we're gonna do that. So here's another tool. It's a belt sander. It's kind of just like the wood belt sander, only it's a lot coarser. It spins a little bit faster, but it's for metal. So I got all my grinding done. I got each piece fitting in there relatively well. You look at them here. Some of them have a little wiggle to them, but as I tack weld them, I'll be able to press them against the wall and get them in there. I kind of like the way it's looking here. So what's nice is right where my seam is, I'm also going to put a little block here, and that's all that's going to do is help that little piece there, even though it's, you know, not really doing much for the grill. It's kind of helping that weld, making it a lot stronger. Even though it's probably fine. But as you can see, my grill's a little inset like this, and I was gonna make it flush, these here flush with the top of this ring. But that's not how grills are. So I kind of like that these are sunk in a little bit so that it creates a lip around my grill. So I'm actually gonna leave that flat, have these offset and down, and tack them in just like that. I think it'll be kind of cool. Hopefully I won't have to pull these out and I can just tack them where they are and weld them where they are, but I may have to pull some out to get a good weld. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld these. I'm not gonna videotape myself welding because I don't know how, if it's damaging to the lens. I don't have a welding lens. I could put some sort of filter on there, but I'm just gonna shut it off and then I'll do it, and I'll show you it when it's done. So it's pretty simple concept when I'm welding. I know I said it before, but I'm just taking this little filler rod right here and tacking it in each spot. Then when it's all tacked, I'm gonna pull it out and then see if I can, you know, get more weld in the areas that I need. So, but from the underside, so it doesn't look so bad. All right, we'll see you when it's done. So here it is here. It's wedged into my jig, so I gotta get that off. It's all nicely welded. Looks good to me. I want to flip it over and I want to weld from the other side just to make sure it's nice and strong, because this is going to get heated and cooled down and heated and cooled down over and over and over and over again, and I want it to last, so I want nice solid welds. Some things that you didn't see. It's just a welding hammer or chisel, like a rock hammer. Basically it has this coil on here, so if it gets hot, the end gets hot. You can use it for holding things down when you're welding, so you're not using your hands. I was using it just to tap them down into the grooves, but it's a handy little tool. It stays over here. I was using some clamps because my hoop has a little bit of bend into it, so I clamped it down tight so it's nice and flat. Then when I welded it together, undid the clamps, it stays nice and flat. So some tension there, but I think it'll be okay. Other things. Oh, the secret word for the day is, or the code word that you'll see in your worksheet is, what was it? Oh, giraffe. Okay? Make sure you answer giraffe in that space. This is the only spot you'll hear that. So it's just to make sure you're watching this video. All right. Some of this is still hot, but as you can see, but this jig is pretty much toast. I could use it for another grill, or I could just easily make one. It took 2 seconds and a table saw and some plywood, and I was good. All right, so this is still hot. It's gonna be hot for a while. But as you can see, my grill sticking up from the bottom, which is nice. I'll be able to tack that all the way around. But I think that's pretty sweet. All we gotta do now, I'm gonna tack those, and then we just have some legs. So. Now that our grill is done, we gotta work on the legs. So I have the legs here. I wanna make this thing 14 inches. So about that high. Or we can make a fire, could break down the thing, so it's just coals, and then I could sit this over my fire in my campground. So I want it to be 14 inches. So with my legs, as you can see, there's kind of a V here. So I know that I'm gonna need at least 14 inches times 2. And being that these are on a 10-degree angle, I need to kind of add a little more than that. So I'm gonna just kind of cut these down, rough cut them, and then bend them. And then once they're bent, then I'll cut them to size, exactly how I want them. So watch me do that here. All right. 14 times 2, quick. 28. Okay. So I can find 28 here. I don't know if I need 1 inch, 2 inches. I got a lot of metal, so I'm gonna do 2 inches. So I'll keep it at 30 inches. Using my scribe here. Get myself a nice line with my square. Okay, you can see that. Let's see if I can get 2 of these out of the strip. Easy. Go. There's that, there's that. I can cut those. I need 2 more because I'm going to have 4 legs. Now, I could have 3 legs and it still work, but I'm gonna do 4 just because if one malfunctions, I'll still have 3. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with 4. I wanna make this nice and solid. So it sits in the flames and it ain't going anywhere. So I'm gonna do 4. That was my design. I'm gonna stick to my design. So I need another 30 inches. Bada boom. Another 30 inches here. All right, now we can go cut them. Remember this machine? Sure you do. It is the horizontal bandsaw. Horizontal bandsaw. So I'll cut these and then we'll go to the bender. Okay? Now, the moment you all been waiting for. It's a diacro precision bending machine. Woo! So, look at this crazy thing. This here, I said it's a diacro precision measuring machine. Diacro is just the name of the brand name. It's kind of old school, but it does a good job still. Sometimes the older stuff is better. Dusty in my eye. But basically what this thing does is there are a lot of attachments and different bends you can do. And then you set them up on this spot right here. You put metal in here, and then you use this giant lever using leverage to make certain types of bends, such as something like this. Okay? So a lot of these attachments you can do decorative stuff. I can show you a few examples. These are different setups, but there's channel bending, which are just different types of metals. Create different, hold on, let me find the good stuff. You can make hooks and loops and different things. It tells you the setup in this book here. I'm missing a lot of attachments. You could do square bends. You could do scroll bends. I also have a little book here for doing little trinkets. What are they called? Trinkets? Something like that. But you can do all kinds of cool stuff. In metals, what we use this machine for our project is we make little candle sconces, or sconces they're called. But these are pretty cool. We weld them all together. We put a little candle cup on the end, and then you can paint them and whatnot for finishing. But that's one of the projects we do in metals. But it can do lots of things. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna measure out our legs here. I'm gonna find the midpoint. That way I can generally line it up, you know, in the middle, because that's where I want my bend to be. I have a 1-inch rod right here. It's kind of dirty, but it's a little 1-inch rod, 1/2-inch radius, which is great because I want my things to be a diameter, or the bottom of my feet to have an inch diameter. And then this is just a little pin to hold on to the material so it has somewhere to go so it doesn't go flapping off when I bend it. Okay? A lot of setup. I already have it set up. I cheated. I did that beforehand, so it's less footage here because it's going to be a long video. But here you go. I'm going to measure these out over here. there I got my legs. So I think they're all pretty close to the same. Nothing really I need to do more over here, so I'm going to cover this up because this you do not want to get dusty. It gets in the wheels here. These are all really tight fit stuff, so it has to get greased. So you don't want dust, being that we have a wood shop over there. Dust gets everywhere. So putting this on is key. All right, so what I did is I used my workbench to figure out, I measured out straight up a perpendicular line on my bench. You can see this. Yeah, you can. On my workbench, and then I measured up 14. Just so happens right on a seam of a glue point here, so I used that as my line. And I was able to figure out what my length needs to be doing it this way without having to do a lot of computation in my head with a 10-degree angle and trying to find out, you know, what that length is going to be. I just used this kind of like a gauge, and I found out that 14 1/4 is what I need all my legs to be from the end point up. 14 1/4, 14 1/4. That would allow the grill to sit on it flush. All right, so my SD card filled up on the camera there, so I had to go and clear it off and charge some of the battery. So basically what I said before, I had to cut these down to 4. I found my measurement of what these arms should be was 14 1/4. I went ahead while I was clearing off my SD card. I went ahead and cut those on the bandsaw, horizontal bandsaw, took off the burrs that were on here, and now these are all the same. Might be off a little bit here or there, but they're all generally the same. I'm going to consider them the same. Now I need to figure out, I can basically go take these and weld them. I want to know, I'm wondering if I should leave these at 90 degrees, you know, from my grill, or if I should pitch them a little bit or angle them out a little bit. That way it's not directly underneath the grill. I might do that, or I might keep them straight up. But basically, this is how this is going to go. I'm going to figure out and measure out, you know, where these should be in space on my grill. And then I'll be able to figure that out. I think because I'm attaching them to the outside, I'm not going to pitch them at all. Or angle them out at all. I'm going to keep them nice and straight up and down. I think that'll be the best bet. It'll be somewhat easy. What I could do is I can go ahead. I could tack weld here and here, and use my grill lines to find out exactly where my other one is going to line up on. Match those, and then find out the distance from here to here and here to here. Make those equal. Plant this one, and then I'll be able to do the same over here with that measurement. Find out what this measurement is to here, to this leg, and make sure it's equal to this here, and that way they're all evenly spaced. And once I do that, I mean, this grill's pretty much done. I'll probably sandblast it, and then might take then I'm going to take an ankle grinder, and I'm going to take out these edges here, which I will show you that in the video. But after I do that in the video, I'm going to call this project good. I'll do finishing work on it, but I'm not going to do that in this video. This video is long. All right, I decided to take a step back because I thought of something. Remember our little jig that we used? I'm going to use this, and it's going to make it a lot easier having something with 90-degree angles for me to pull numbers on so that I know exactly where I should be putting my legs, okay? I went and looked. I could use the grill marks, the grill lines to try to figure that out, but they're not exactly, there's not one going right down the center, which you kind of need that. I could figure it out, but I thought of an easier way, which there's tons of ways to do things, okay? Especially in this world here. A lot of different creative ways. Some of them are better. Some of them you know, they barely work, but it probably might not be the best way. So there's a spot on the worksheet that if you know, you see something that, oh, you could have done better, or maybe your parents out there have experience with this and they're like, I would do it like this, like you shouldn't be doing it like that. That's okay. Put that in the worksheet, because I would like to know. I've never built a grill before, honestly. I've worked with metal here and there, but I've never done this project. So I'm kind of figuring it out as I go, and that's why I like my areas. I could do stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a box. I have two edges right here, but that'll give me two lines here, and I can make a crosshair that'll go right down the middle with a line, and then a perpendicular line that goes right down the middle the other way. That way I can use those points and measure out exactly where this should be landing on my grill, okay? And then I can orientate this. I could spin this around anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna use my jig that I had earlier, and I'm gonna use it as a gauge. So two different things, but kind of similar. Okay, so first thing, our measurement here on what this is 11 3/4. If I did this eighth an inch, really from inside to inside, it's 11 1/2. So I'm going to go with 11 1/2. And then I'm going to get a square. Use a framing square for this because it's easy. And yeah, watch. 11 1/2. All right. 11 1/2. Okay. Give myself some lines here. Match this up with my edge, gives me a perpendicular line. Now I could do that with this other side. Perpendicular line. There we go. Alright, now I want to mark my midpoint. That's important. So I'm going to go right through the middle where I think the middle is, and I'll use my square again to give myself two other lines. So half of 11 1/2. Well, I can figure that out. I know what it is, but to give you a little trick, what I like to do is break up the measurement on my ruler, and my ruler becomes my calculator. You know, so I'm not trying to figure things out in my head, and I play with the numbers until I find it. Or what you can do is find 11 1/2. This isn't the most accurate way of doing this, but you could take your flexible tape and line your end up with 11 1/2, and then you could find out where it is. Bend it in half, break it in half. So I don't want to crease it so you don't get a really accurate measurement, but I can see it's right around 5 3/4. So 5 3/4 is half of 11 1/2. So I'm going to do 5 3/4, give myself a mark this way. I'm going to do 5 3/4 this way, and give myself a mark there. Grab my handy dandy framing square, this is called. Line up one mark. I'm going to go all the way because I need it to extend here. And I'll do it this way as well. There we go. Now, what I want to do, I want to find out this distance. Yeah, it's kind of flopping around, but I'm going to pick one and make them all be the same distance. See how that changes? Well, at its resting stage, I'm going to measure that from end to end. I got 5 1/2. I'm going to stick with 5 1/2. It's a nice, you know, solid number. Nothing too goofy. And then all the rest of these, I can either extend them or squeeze them to make sure that they're 5 1/2. So, knowing that that's 5 1/2, I know that this is going to have to sit on here, and I'm going to need some lines that are 5 1/2. I'm going to use the line that I made that's in the middle, and I'm going to go half of 5 1/2 one direction and half of 5 1/2 the other direction, and give myself a mark. So what's half of 5 1/2? Well, half of 5 is 2 1/2. I know that. That leaves me with a half of an inch left over. Half of a half an inch is quarter of an inch. So add that to 2.5. That's 2 3/4. Let me double check. 2 3/4. Measure this way. Yep, that's half of 5.5. It's 2 3/4. So what I'm going to do, use my tape measure here, and I'm going to measure out 2 3/4. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to measure out 2 3/4. Boom, boom. I can double check that. Yes, that's 5.5. I'm going to do that all the way around. So again, using a jig, using other materials to help you achieve your goal, that's problem solving right there in a nutshell, or at least an example of it. So, all right, see you over at the welder. All right, here we are at the welder. I got a new tool for you. It's going to make our lives a little easier helping us. So basically what it is it is a square. It's a square. It has a 90-degree angle on it, and it's used just like a square, and some other things. But what's nice is this dial right here it turns on a magnet or turns it off. So when I turn this, now it's magnetized, and it'll stick to whatever it is. Great for trying to create 90-degree angles. You know, when you're trying to weld, you're all dialed up with gloves and a mask and everything else. It's really hard to get that nice and perfect. This is great assistance. You just don't want to burn it or anything, so you just get things tacked up. Once the weld is created, you can get rid of it so that you don't ruin it. But I'm going to start with the magnet off. I'm going to get it lined up. This, I don't know if I said it, but this is, we'll call it a magnetic square. Okay. Another important thing I forgot to mention, if I went to try to weld this right now, it wouldn't work. A lot of you in metals would, this should ring a bell, or red flag should be going off. Oh, it's not going to work. I have my stock metal on a piece of wood. All right, and you might have saw me messing around with this earlier. But what this is a ground. So I'm not going to get it all into electricity. Take Intro to Tech Ed, we get into electronic components and stuff like that. But basically, electricity needs a path or a circle or a circuit. Okay, so there's electricity being sent and sent out this electrode, it's called, and that's what does all the work. But that electricity, in order for it to work and function correctly for us, it needs to go somewhere. You can't just stop it. All right, you got to transfer it somewhere else and send it off. And that's where grounding comes in. So we need to clamp this to our workpiece, so that way when I'm working, the electricity will come through and then it will go out this way. All right, so it's actually a great thing. And some argue that it goes the opposite direction. It comes through here and comes back in that way, but that's up for debate. So the hard part is trying to find a good spot to do that. So I just need it to be touching. That's the problem. So what I'll do this. All right, so the last thing with our project here that I'm gonna do, I'll show you. It turned out nice. There's a little bit of rock in it, but that's okay. For a campfire grill, it's fine. So what I'm gonna do is there's these sharp little corners around, all the way around. And I'm gonna take new tool here. It's called an angle grinder, A-N-G-L-E, or I used to always call it an ankle grinder. I don't know why. It reminds me of an ankle or a robotic ankle. Don't know where that came from, but yeah, so angle grinder. This thing's super dangerous. You know, no one should be, I get nervous when any student starts working with one of these. I'm gonna put a face shield on, wear some gloves. Right now I have some really rough abrasive disc on here. A lot of times you can put a stone on it, just like the pedestal, the bench grinder and pedestal. So I'm gonna use this. This works really well, and I'm going to just take these corners down so it kind of slopes with my legs. But other than that, look at. Kind of looks like my design, doesn't it? Very good. Okay. All right, there you have it. Sorry, my look here. I just sandblasted this thing. It makes it look nice, but I get dust all over the place. Probably should have worn a dust mask, face mask. But if you look at it, sandblasting it makes it look all nice and pretty. It's not protected yet from rusting, so this thing could rust really bad right now. It's basically all exposed to moisture and the air. But here you have it. Here I have my little campfire grill, and it's super solid. Might take up some space, but I think this thing will be worth it to bring on a camping trip. You can stick it right in the middle of the fire when you're ready to cook something up. I like that I put this lip right here, so that if I put a hot dog on it, you know, it's not exactly level, it tries to roll off, it's gonna hit this lip and not fall into the fire, so I like that too. Some things I might do differently next time, which I still can. There's a lot I can do with this. Is attach some sort of handles. I mean, the handles are gonna get hot too if it's in the middle of a fire. So basically, if it's in the fire, you gotta use some sort of mitt or stick or something to get it out of there to cool down. So there's that. And then, I mean, that's basically the only things I'd add to it. Otherwise, it seems nice and sound, pretty solid. And I'm proud of it. It was a good project to do for never have done it before. I like it. So hope you like it too. So fill out the worksheets. If you have questions or anything that intrigued you that you want to know more about, just start an email thread with me or send me a message, and I'd be glad to talk about it or give you some more information on the different things here. But there you go. Have a good one.